Good morning, dear friends. Can you hear me? Yes, thank you very much. Hello to those of you joining us on FaceTime and Ustream and YouTube. Nice to see you this morning. If you'd like to be in the more active side of this, please go to the portlandinsight.org website and look for online gatherings, and you can find the link to this on Zoom, which is over here. So we woke up again this morning. What an amazing thing to be alive. I'm really appreciative that you're willing to get up and join me here. Normally, I'd be over 40 feet that way sitting on my couch, and it's really nice to be together in company for doing this. I was seeking out a poem for today, and I stumbled on one that I hadn't seen in a long time. It's in my collection, but I hadn't seen it. So it's a Christian poem. It's by St. Thomas Aquinas. So it uses the G word, and God said. And there are some people of Buddhist ilk who are offended by the G word, and I like to think of it as just another vocabulary for the utterly most mysterious. So here's the poem. Could you embrace that? I said to God, "Let me love you." And he replied, "Which part?" All of you, I said. "Oh, my dear," God spoke, "you are as a mouse wanting to impregnate a tiger who is not even in heat. This is a feat way beyond your courage and strength. You would run from me if I removed my mask." I said to God again, "Beloved, I need to love you, every aspect, every pore." And this time God said, "There is a hideous blemish on my body, though it is such an infinitesimal part of my being. Could you kiss that if it were revealed?" "I will try, Lord, I will try." And then God said, "That blemish is all the hatred and cruelty in the world." I said to God, "Let me love you," and he replied, "Which part?" All of you, I said. "Oh, my dear," God spoke, "you are as a mouse wanting to impregnate a tiger who is not even in heat. It is a feat way beyond your courage and strength. You would run from me if I removed my mask." I said to God again, "Beloved, I need to love you, every aspect, every pore." And this time God said, "There is a hideous blemish on my body, though it is such an infinitesimal part of my being. Could you kiss that if it were revealed?" "I will try, Lord, I will try." And then God said, "That blemish is all the hatred and cruelty in this world." So our journey, when we take meditation beyond stress management and beyond basic psychological and emotional well-being, we head into the terrain of opening up to everything. And we encounter the hatred and cruelty in ourselves, and the greed, hatred, and ignorance, which are the roots of suffering. So I'm going to come back to that a little bit after, but for now, my fingers are kind of cold this morning. I didn't get my heater on quite as early as I might have. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and love. Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community of mindful harmony. Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Sanghaya. That's kind of interesting, playing with a hand that isn't very flexible. Refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Refuge in being awake here now. Here now. Here now with what is, including the quote blemishes, including the fear and anxiety and irritability, and the loneliness, the frustration. And we do this together in the company of our friends, our Sangha. And we do this in the company of all life. It's my understanding or belief that the Buddha's discovery of the path to awakening was one of the most significant events in human history. There probably were awakened beings before him, people who spontaneously awoke, shamans perhaps. But he figured out how to do it and how to teach others to have the same experience he had. And we cultivate the human mind and heart in the same way as we cultivate a garden. It is an ecological system, our minds. We are part of the living world. And the same rules apply. We want to plant certain crops to get certain fruits. Central among our plantings are mindfulness and concentration. Concentration is the ability to focus on one object and stay there. And mindfulness is the mysterious knowing of what's happening. So please embrace this body, which is your home for a lifetime, which, as it turns out, seems to be a few eye blinks. Notice with gratitude how alive the feet and legs are, the hands, the arms, the face. If there are sounds around you, don't think of them as distractions. Just think of them simply as sounds arising and passing away. And of course, at the center of this living process, there's the breath. So why not come home and abide in the beautiful simplicity of mindfulness, of in-breathing and out-breathing? There are quite probably thoughts. Thoughts of many kinds, thoughts of the past, thoughts of the future, critical thoughts, admiring thoughts, thoughts of wanting and not wanting, thoughts of conversations and things you want to say, things you should do. For this time, no content of mind is of any importance. This is the time of day of taking refuge in the Buddha, where there's nothing to do, no one to be, nothing to attain. So letting go of thoughts. Don't fight with them. They go on their own, actually. Coming home to the security of the constantly changing breath. It is mindfulness that notices that the mind is wandering. Practice strengthens that capacity to notice what is happening. Mindfulness is non-judgmental, non-evaluative, simply awake. Concentration is the factor of mind that focuses in on an object and then stays there. Not stays there with great effort and tension, but lands there with the delicacy of a butterfly landing on a flower. And then it just abides there. Can aid concentration by intending to be present for the very first beginning of the breath. When the breath is born, when the breath is created, when the breath arises out of nowhere. And then staying attentive with the sensations in the body. As the breath fills itself, as it reaches fullness and then declines and then disappears. And we're not doing a special breathing. There are many and different yogic traditions. This is different. This is just relinquishing control, and there's breathing in and breathing out. Noticing how it arises and passes away. There is no predicting what thoughts, what moods, what mental phenomena might occur. Fortunately, our job is not to get rid of these things. It's not to enforce a silent mind somehow. Our job is to awaken to what's happening, inclusive of everything. The blemish from the poem, that poses a challenge when experiences occur which are, in Western psychology terms, ego-dystonic. That's not part of me. That can't be part of me. Well, often it is. Part of that which I take to be me. So we open. We relax into the present. We come home to the breath. Come home to now. To this very in-breath. To this very posture of the body. this path of mindfulness. Of insight, of awakening. Has to do with becoming aware of everything that occurs. Not everything that exists in the whole universe, but just what occurs to your sense doors. Or the sense doors that you take to be you, more accurately. They all arise and pass away. If we're thorough and diligent over time, we find ourselves more and more free of clinging to the pleasant and unpleasant, free of demanding life to be a certain way, free. It doesn't mean that there's no more pain in the body or there aren't still emotional reactions to things. But we recognize them as impersonal or like the weather. And there's another tuning in which we recognize our individuality and that of others. And it's there that we develop compassion and love and sympathetic joy, equanimity. So as we move toward ending this time of sitting together, why not conjure up a thought of loving kindness toward yourself? Maybe use the great mantra, I love you, with your name at the end. Or is there something else you've always longed to hear? I'm so glad you were born, or I'm so glad you're who you are and how you are. And now extending loving kindness to everyone on this broadcast, quite dispersed around the planet. Fortunately, these loving intentions travel at the speed of thought, way faster than the speed of light. What would a kind thought, what would a kind thought that resides in your heart be for the other members of our group? Wish them well. May you be free from attachment and suffering. And extending this out now to your family, your friends. And I think of this and experience it as a relaxing back. Lie back in the arms of love. There are many of us here on this planet, many humans, billions. Fortunately, our vastness, the vastness of our heart has room for everyone and everything. May all beings share in the merits of our practice. May all beings awaken to their true great nature. May our leaders in this time of great challenge to humanity be touched by our love. May those who are sick in so many ways here on the earth today be comforted. And now I invite you to become aware of your eyes. The eyes as physical phenomena inside their beautiful, smooth sockets. And then notice the intention. It takes the effort of a sort in the mind to then lift the eyelids and become aware of the object, seeing. And in gallery view, there's how many? 25 beautiful little postage stamps with lovely people in them. I'm going to go look on page 2. Another gallery of postage stamp beauties. How beautiful. Huh. So I want to underline a couple of things I said today. The blemish. The world has a blemish. Just remembered a cartoon. It's the classic God image, the long hair guy, the old white man with the beard, and he's taking the earth out of an oven, and he says, "Dang, it's only half baked." And that's how we are. We're half baked, and we're capable. We are the leading edge of consciousness evolution on the planet, and we can play a role in it. We have a responsibility, perhaps once we discover it. And so with mindfulness, which is the capacity of being aware and awake, which we have, which is miraculous, and with concentration, which is the ability to focus, then we can grow these, and we can grow them stronger and stronger. So a week from now we'll be more aware and more concentrated. And I certainly have noticed over these decades how we can evolve our selves. Really, we participate in this awakening. It does, however, require accepting previously unacceptable parts of ourselves and the world. And finally, what we've done now this morning is we've been to the weight room, we've done our exercises. Now comes the real practice, which is, how mindful will you be when you get up off this cushion or chair? How about crows overhead? How about when you go to the bathroom this morning, will you be mindful? When you open the fridge, when you put the toast down, when you brush your teeth, the task is to be mindful. Not the task, the aspiration is to be mindful in every activity. And one of the ways we do that, particularly on retreat, is we slow down. Well, we can also make intentions that every time I brush my teeth, I'll be mindful. I've been shaving mindfully for almost 50 years. So that's the task. Let's be as mindful and therefore as loving and kind as we can. I have one other thought. I had a memory during the meditation that keeps popping up. I traveled in Turkey some years ago with my daughter. We had 18 days. And we visited, I can't remember the name of it, but an ancient city. It was abandoned in 250 or something, year 250, because the earthquakes there were so terrible that it collapsed. It kept collapsing the city. Big place. And there was a hall, there was a big floor, and they had removed the earth, the covering, on 100 square feet, no, maybe 100 square feet. And it was this most incredible tile work. The floor was this incredible tile work, and they revealed maybe 100th or something of the floor. And the whole thing was covered in rubble. And that kept coming up this morning 2 or 3 times. It's so amazing how civilizations come and go. How cities are bustling and then they're not. And that's an interesting, for me, perspective in this time of cultural challenge. That we're part of something awesome and very unstable. So it only makes sense to love each other. So that said, I invite you to take the opportunity to visit the portlandinsight.org website and contribute to the ongoing stability and functioning of PIMC. I got an email yesterday from the Zen community of Oregon that they're facing a possible $200,000 deficit this year because of closing down their retreats and so on. And all the Dharma centers are, we're not in that kind of difficulty. But it's so important to support these places where we're nourished. So I'm so glad we're in such better shape than most, because Ruth Dennison made such huge contributions to our center, and that then we all contributed a lot and we paid it off. So we're not facing a mortgage, which is really wonderful. So I want to open up to hear what is happening in your world today. How are you coping with this time of the coronavirus and social isolation? Two participants raised hands. Maybe unmute. Oh, here we are. Lower hand, unmute. Susan. Hello, Susan. Oh. Hi, Susan. Susan, where are you? Okay, I'm going to... Natasha. Hello. I can hear you fine. Ah. Hmm. Hmm. Thank you. Hmm. Moo. Stephanie, on the other side of the world. Hi. I presume it's sunny and hot in Doha. Wow. Wow. Please just unmute yourself if you wish to speak. Hi, Carmen. Very clear here. Yeah. Thank you, my dear. May you be free from sickness. Hello, Russell. Yeah. Thanks, Russ. Loud and clear. Linnell, would you be willing to type those out and send them to me? Email robert@robertbeatty.com, and I'll put them on my blog and on the listserv. Great. Or you, yeah, that'd be the easiest. Good. I'll do that today. Thank you. In this silence, I want to say something, which is, well, one thing we're doing here, one way to frame it is we're doing the practice of counsel. And it's fine for there to be periods of silence. It's a bit like the Quakers. But there's silence until something arises in someone that comes from the group, perhaps, but that it arises in one voice, and then that gets spoken. And why I'm saying this is it's so useful to become comfortable in counsel with the silence. So then we're not anxious that is someone going to feel, someone, we can't, this is not okay. When in fact, it's perfectly okay. And then something of heart or importance comes through. I've twice in my life been among people who were pre-electronic. 50 years ago in Nepal, and then I visited my daughter, Tara, in Brazil. She was living with a tribe in the Amazon, and I were doing anthropology work in college. And in both of those instances, in Nepal, we'd go into a village, and it was early trekking time, and we'd ask someone in the village, Hami Yaha Bazna Sakchao, I still remember it, can we stay here? And then they would point us to the house where we could stay. And then we would be with the people. And their conversations, and it was the same in Brazil, the conversations were very unusual to me in that someone would speak and then they'd go silent. And they'd be silent and then someone would speak. It wasn't continuous and it wasn't competitive. It was quite interesting. So I invite you to think of what we do here as being in counsel. And then we can tune into ourselves and what wants to be said. So there's no coercion, you don't have to speak, but there is definitely an invitation, especially to those who are usually quiet, is there something that wants to be said? And there doesn't have to be, of course. So. Ooh, I can't hear. I'm going to change this. I lost sound there. Huh. Tim is speaking. Hello? Can you hear me? You can. How interesting. I can hear nothing now. Perhaps I've gone deaf. No, I think I can hear my own voice. Test speaker built in. Huh. Hello? Huh. Well, Jim, would you take the helm here until I can get some sound, if I can? Don't know how to do it. Try that.